Hello, I'm Adam Scrimshire, and I thought I would do another little production breakdown or walkthrough. Production breakdown sounds a lot more like what I've been going through for the last month. But anyway, there's a remix that I've done for The Milk and for the song Wild Chain Man, and I thought I'd take you through it, take you through what I did. So yeah. This was an interesting one. I have basically remixed the entire of the Milk's album Cages, and this particular remix came really late in the day. This was the 10th track that I did, I think, which affected my mindset somewhat, I guess, which is why it's quite different from the starting material. So yeah, the track is quite sort of straight ahead rock. I'll give you a little taste of. So yeah, it's you know, it's at 124 beats per minute. It could lend itself to doing something like really straight ahead, kind of housey kind of thing. I'm not a house producer, so it's not my first place to go. I did think about something more kind of broken beat kind of vibe, as I've done on their track Feels So Good. I did try something, it really wasn't working for me. And you can see how this is laid out. My remix is over here, these cuts up on the right, and this is the thing over on the left. And I don't normally work like this. I would normally be nice and neat over here, committed to an idea, but obviously I was really struggling, so I was playing with a lot of different things. And I guess that what ended up happening was I would have been coming over here. This is like 5-6 months ago, so my memory is not perfect on all of this, but I think that what if I remember rightly, I came back and I would have been doing what I tend to do, which is ultimately, after loads of failed attempts, bring the loop markers in here, set a loop on, and just pick apart. And move around. And see if things just leap out. And I think ultimately with this one, what I came down to was a particular guitar part, which is later on in the track. The actual part that Dan plays occurs a lot throughout, but it most cleanly appears here. I'll just put that in the context. So that's where I ended up, and I think because I'd been through quite a lot trying to get this track somewhere, I'd got into a point where a really banging thing was not working for my head anymore. My ears were tired, my head was tired of trying to come up with ideas, and I was trying to find somewhere to take refuge, something peaceful, and that's where this drove this to where it is. It just goes to show, you know, sometimes it's really worth going through the pain in order to get your head into a space where something more creative and interesting can happen. So we had that, and then on top of that, there's a vocal part that I'd really sort of locked in on, and let me just show you if I can find it. I think it's here. Let's have a look. Yeah, here it is. I've got a lot of effects on here that I use later on in the actual remix.
Now I go crazy in my sleep, but at what cost?
And again, in context of the track.
Now I go crazy in my sleep, but at what cost? And I never.
And I have a lifelong struggle with sleep. So I think I kind of zoomed in on this, and I really like the idea of this. I go crazy in my sleep, at what cost? I go crazy in my sleep. And I just cut that straight out of there. And when I came to this track today to have a look at it to do this, there was just this gap here, and I was like, yeah, okay, that's clearly what we did. So it's over here.
Now I go crazy in my sleep, but at what cost?
And there is also a more affected version down here. Let's just pull this up. Which I've messed with a little bit, stretched it a little bit. And sent it out to lots of effects and reverbs. But then coming back a little bit, step back a little bit, the guitar part was really the key sort of like jumping in point. So here we go, we got it about here. And I would have got that here, got that in a loop, and then started to play beats over it. I had a drum beat up here, I think. Is it ready to roll? They're the samples that I had available. And I would have been trying some things at 4/4 at 124 BPM to see what I could come up with. And then looping that back around and everything. And what ended up happening was that I found that there was a potential 3/4 way of spinning this with those beats. And it required the track to be sped up from 124 to 175 beats per minute. But then I could get to this, keeping the audio from the original track pretty much as it is, but then changing the rest of the production around it, timing wise, to get this. So I haven't really done anything to the guitar except for the effects that I've put on it. And with the effects, I have done this kind of automation. I'll put it on now. You can see it over here. So I'm literally playing in the EQ, rolling it up and down to get some movement, to create some kind of drama and space and movement that's in there. And then from there, I would play my keys to see if I could find some nice chords that would run over it. So let's see if I've got this set up here. Yep, this. That gives me the harmonics that I'm after for this track. So let's just jump ahead to where that's happening and leave the vocals back in, and you can hear where we're starting to come. And from here it's just building, adding on the bass line with the Moog, as usual. And then I went to a drum machine that I really like using. Not an actual one, unfortunately, I don't have one. But the old C78 is a rhythm accompaniment they would use with playing organs and stuff. It's a very early drum machine, and it's absolutely amazing, and I love it deeply. I remember first hearing a few components, but that's a secret. So we've got that, and we build that up. We've got these claves, and then a kick, and a hi-hat. Just pull it back to just hear that. Let's get rid of everything else. From there, adding in the Juno over here, one of my favourite things in the world. This is Dave Core's Juno. He's got my Fender Rhodes, I've got his Juno. Wobbly, again evocative, trying to create this repetitive, weird dreamscape. I go crazy in my sleep, just trying to keep that alive and that idea alive within the whole thing. Adding in more synthesizers here, the Moog again coming with a played arpeggio. Let's hear that. That just growing. And later on, in fact, that coming back with me just copying it and dropping it down onto the next track and then moving it up by, I think it's like 17 semitones, just rather than playing it again. I enjoy the way it sounds weird because it's pitched. Have also pitched Rick in a similar way to get a harmony. Just to give a little bit of change throughout the track. There are some choirs in here. And with the choirs, again, where I've got a lot of looping, I mean, you can see here that there is just constant looping, lots and lots of tiny loops that are going on, just to create this repetitive, almost meditative kind of feeling to the production. But to keep it moving and keep a sense of the kind of like dreamlike organic nature of it, getting in there with something like this filter device and playing certain knobs on here just throughout the entire song, just to keep it constantly moving and changing, constantly evolving, constantly a little bit different, constantly interesting. Getting some delay in here. And most of the stuff is running through a compressor on a sidechain to duck with the C78. And the very last thing that we did, I say we, I mean me, was to bring in a bit of drums, just to give it a little bit more elevation. I wanted some sparkliness, and there's a part within here that works perfectly. Back in the original piece, in the middle eight, Mitch on the drums plays this section. So a little holding pattern in the middle eight before it explodes into the chorus. Playing the ride cymbal and playing side stick on the side of the snare drum, rim shot, and it's just in a straight pattern. So I pulled that across. It wasn't working for me to have it completely straight. I wanted to move the rim shots to give me a little bit of movement with the 3/4 time signature that we had. So I've pulled that down, and then I've warped it ever so slightly. So warping, literally just grabbing a bit of the audio like this and moving it around in the piece to where I needed it to move with the other drum patterns that are working. And in doing that, I'm moving the side stick, but the interim like ride cymbals are just left to be squashed back and forth or expanded until you get it. And it's not necessarily a perfect timing with the rest of the other stuff, but it gives this beautiful ebb and flow, waves. And that is ultimately it. That's it. I then bounce these tracks down, grouping them, synthesizers, keys, guitar, vocals, all as one, and I take them across into the software Luna by Universal Audio, which is where I tend to do my mixing, because it's more like a traditional mixing desk. I love Ableton for creating, but when it comes to actually mixing, I like to feel like I've got a mixing desk in front of me. A little bit of reverb here up into the final section, and this is it. Wild Chain Man, Scrimshire remix, The Milk.